Welcome to our first ever Digi Church Instagram account review. Now, why would you watch a review of someone's Instagram? Well, if you're a church leader running a church social media account such as Instagram, it might be helpful to hear what we think others are doing well and what others could improve upon. We are super excited and super grateful that a church actually let us do this without even seeing an example of what it will look like. And now we can use this example video to show future churches so we can keep doing this. If this is helpful to you, by the way, if this is helpful, leave us a comment, let us know. If we're just meeting, my name is Sammy. I'm here with Digivangelism, Digi for short. We post a new YouTube video every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, but you're actually catching us in Vlogmas, which means we are posting a video
every single day of December.
Up until Christmas, at least. And every video shares some digital ministry tips and trends with you, so you don't miss the biggest opportunity to share the love of Jesus yet. If that sounds interesting to you, why not subscribe now so you don't miss a single video of digital ministry goodness? Let's get started. Before I start screen sharing with you, I just want to give a huge shout out to Haley Hutchinson Mikolajczyk, who let us do this. She is the Communications Resource Specialist. Try saying that 5 times fast, seriously. At Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois. And that's who we're going to be reviewing today. So let's bring up the screen. So if you want to follow along on a separate device, if you have 2 devices going, the church's Instagram handle is CUCCSTC, Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois. You can also just follow along right here as I follow along on my phone. So we're going to go through 8 things that we think this church does really, really well, and then we're going to go through 2 growing edges that we see for their Instagram profile. First up, we see their bio as a real strength here. It reads, a progressive, open, and affirming church in St. Charles, Illinois. No matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Wow, you don't get a lot of characters, and they've said a lot. They've said where they are located, which is really great for when someone finds your church and they have no idea where on the planet you are. And they identify that they are progressive, they are open, and an affirming church that is huge for our LGBTQIA plus siblings who really need to know that if they're going to try their hand at going to a new church and want to make sure that they are welcome. This church lays that all out there. We love seeing a bio well used because a bio is one of the first things people see. Maybe they'll find your church through a post, but they are going to eventually come here and say, okay, what is this place about? So making sure your bio tells exactly who you are is really helpful for people that really want to know who you are in the smallest amount of characters possible. Next up, we love their profile picture here on the top left. It looks like their logo there. So, is that a date? 1837. That's awesome. Wow. Okay, what I really like, first of all, is that their logo is being used there, but also the color, like there's just a lot of one color. So whenever I personally see a light blue person posting, I mean, it's not the person, but a light blue Instagram account posting, I'm like, that's that church that does the awesome social media. Cool. So as their people are scrolling their feed and they see, oh, light blue. Oh, church's logo. Oh, I know that church. Oh, I know that's my church. And I know I want to read it because it's probably important because it's my church. So way to go having your logo in there, not just some random stock photo that you found on Google Images. Awesome. Number 3, we love how they use their highlights. I mean, look at this. If you don't know what a highlight is, it's basically when a story, which is right up here on the left, that just goes away after 24 hours, you save it to your highlights, which are here. I'm moving them right now in the middle of the screen. And when you save them, they stay up for longer than 24 hours. They stay up as long as you keep them up. So looks like this church has a highlight for different kinds of like mission activities, small group, just ways for people to get involved that you could say, oh, I'm really into music. I'm going to click on this green one. And then music ministry photos, memories come up, or maybe activities, ways to get involved, people to connect with, just getting a sense for what this church's music ministry even looks like. And so I can tap through these stories here, and if I had a child in middle school, or if I wanted to just know about what the church's life looks like, I can go through. Look at all these posts right here. And I'll know exactly who this congregation is without even scrolling through the feed. Stories are really great because people can just flip through them. They're quick glimpses, and that you can put a lot of them together, like this church has in their highlights. Go CUCCSTC. That's also hard to say. I think it looks beautiful. It looks awesome. I love the way they're all different colors too, and you have a little icon for each of them that really signifies what they are. Great job, Haley, and great job, church team. Number 4, I actually want to point out one of their specific highlights, and that's meet our staff. 2 really important things you can do with your highlights. First of all, meet our staff. That is fantastic. Look, this is their pastor. this is their youth leader. Look, we have some things that they love about the church. We're getting to know them. Hey, look, there's Haley. Awesome. Making that information really accessible is huge, because then people don't have to go wondering, who exists behind this church? Who is their leadership? What are they all about? It's all right there. You can actually get to know some of their leadership right there in the highlight before even scrolling through, before clicking on any websites, before navigating the internet. It's there. That's very powerful. Another way you can use your story highlights to kind of help people get to know your church before they even come to your church is to do kind of like a here's what you'll experience when you come to our church. So maybe like an I'm new here highlight that walks through what it looks like to arrive at your church that day. And if you're online, maybe it's walking through a service. What does the online service structure look like? So great job using this highlight feature here and making sure that Meet Our Staff is there so that they can get to know you before they even arrive. Huge. Alright, so number 5 is a button right in the middle there. It looks like a little TV, and that's because when you click it, it is Instagram TV. Now, the church doesn't have a ton of IGTV posts, but they have some. And the really important, awesome thing about IGTV posts is that they kind of store somewhere separately, and they're longer form videos. Looks like we've got some announcements in here, which is just awesome. Some worship music. Great. So let's say this church decides they're going to post an IGTV video, for Christmas. So a couple weeks away at this point. And someone goes to their IGTV videos and they start watching this one, they make it through the Christmas one, and then all of a sudden their exciting Advent announcement pops up, and then the This Sunday and Winter announcement pops up, and then some worship music. They'll actually start just playing through like a TV channel, right? Playing through all the different episodes that they have saved, these longer form videos. So while you might not have a ton of views or a ton of videos up your church, these are going to stay here, and every time you post a new one, people will be exposed to these older videos and get to know you and learn more about you all over again. Great job making use of this feature. Very cool. Alright, number 6. Now this one you have to kind of hunt for, but when you click on their pictures, and let's just pick this one, because look at that Christmas tree. That's awesome. Now, when you go in the comment, similar to like we do when we post, actually they post some hashtags in their posts as well as the first comment. Great way to make use of space there. What I want to point out, because I think it's super awesome, but I hope I don't butcher it when I say it, is that you all actually have hashtags for your church. So CUCCSTC, got it. You click on that hashtag and I can see, wow, all of the different posts that you've made. Now, maybe it's just you right now, or maybe there are a couple other posts here from other people in this congregation who also use the hashtag. The point is, people can jump in with this hashtag. And it actually even looks like there are a couple here. So you've got this longer Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois, or Congregational United Church of Christ hashtag that not only can the church post on, but also any members could use that hashtag, and then their posts would show up in the mix as well. Now that might seem kind of insignificant, but it's actually really cool if other people start to use the hashtag, and then when you click it, you see the whole community. You see everyone's different perspectives and experience of church together, especially when we're online. This is huge. Keeps people connected even when they're apart physically. Alright, number 7. This is wild. Like, I am in love with this idea. Okay, I'm going to click on this link here in their bio. And what does it pull up? It pulls up a podcast about who's in the pews. They literally have a podcast where you can get to know the people in their church. And not only that, but they are promoting this podcast with the face of whoever they are featuring that week. That is incredible. That means that if I, as an outsider, was thinking about joining this church, I would not only get to know many of their members through their podcast, Who's in the Pews, but I'd also get to see who these people are, so that the next time I'm present in worship on Zoom, or I walk in the building, I can be like, oh my goodness, you're that one person who talked about this on the podcast. I've never met you before, but I feel like I already have a connection with you. Now, they might be a little scared if you do that, especially if I do that, because I've got a lot of energy, in case you couldn't tell. But how cool is it that social media could be used to form these connections before you even meet? Oftentimes, this also makes people feel more comfortable in meeting in the first place, because you're not walking into a building where you really don't know anybody. You kind of have seen a couple people, even if you haven't met them. You're not logging on to a Zoom worship service where you don't know anybody's name, you've got a couple names and faces in the books. You know about them. And even if you don't know them, they don't know you, you might feel a little bit more comfortable knowing who makes up the community that you are about to walk into. Okay, last one for this church. Okay, last example here of something awesome we think CUCCSTC, Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois, is doing. Their content is very mixed. We love that. That is so important for keeping engagement, for keeping people interested, for keeping people looking at what you're even posting. I mean, just scroll through their feed here. I'll scroll through it. You watch. They've got pictures of people, pictures of their leaders. They've got some quote posts here, but they've also got pictures of other things. They've got some carousel posts here. They've got question posts. They've got announcement posts about their podcasts. They've got examples of the people that are in their podcasts. Pictures at worship here, quotes, Instagram TV videos on their feed. It is super mixed. As I said, that's really important in keeping people actually reading what you are posting. If you post the same kind of post every single time, eventually people are just gonna scroll past it. It's nothing new. There's nothing really to see here. We see a lot of churches that will just kind of post Canva graphic images on their feed, and that's good. It certainly has its place, but if your entire feed is that, there's no personal connection. There's no faces. There's no way for people to get to know the people behind the screen. Now, alternatively, maybe you can't make every single post people behind your screen and faces and that sort of thing, because you need some graphics in there to either announce what's going on or share some pieces of scripture or whatever you're using them for. We think Congregational United Church of Christ does an awesome job of mixing up their content, and that's why we wanted to share them with you. Next, we're going to actually go into 2 growing edges that we see that this church could utilize on their Instagram profile. And then we're going to hear a word from Haley, who talks about how Instagram, or at least their social media of this church, has been helpful, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. So the first growing edge that we saw was that this church could probably use their story more. Now, if I click on it now, you have a new podcast episode. You've got the face of the person in the podcast episode, and this just looks awesome. A fun fact with the organ. All that's good stuff. Okay, none of that was there when I was coming up with ideas, which is totally understandable. We miss days on our story all the time. It is really hard to keep up with story, especially because they disappear after 24 hours. But that's the kind of thing that there's always room for improvement. So this is nothing this church is doing wrong at all. In fact, I was really impressed with their story. I was like, wow, they got a bunch of different things posted, and look at this fun fact. This is so cool. But the truth is, there is always room for improvement. And so any opportunity you have to actually talk to your story, take a video of yourself on your phone and post it on your stories, even if it's just a short clip, that's really super engaging. Any behind the scenes videos you can give of your church, or if you're working at home, what that looks like, what life looks like, what worship planning and worship developing and recording worship looks like, however you do church. Any type of behind the scenes videos you can provide on your stories or pictures in real time is huge. So again, nothing this church is doing wrong, but perhaps a growing edge to keep in mind. Second growing edge we think that this church could embrace, and I'm going to give you pros and cons because I would probably suggest it, but there are some cons to it too, so I'll share both sides. See this link here in their bio, and when I clicked that, it went to the podcast episode, which was freaking amazing, let me just say. The only downside to that is that I don't get to go to your church website. The only link in the bio takes us to the podcast episode. So that could be bad because maybe I found this cool Instagram account, but I don't know how to figure out when they have worship. I don't know how to figure out how to contact them other than DMing them. I might just not know some things that I really need to know about this church. Now, certainly there's a lot here in the highlights. There's a lot here in the posts. I could DM them if I wanted more information, but not everyone is going to feel comfortable doing that. So I jumped over here to our Digi account just because I want to show you another option. So we use Linktree. It's free, and there are many other different free linking links that you can put in there. So basically what happens is I put a Linktree link in our Digi profile, and when people click on it, they have all these different options. So we want people to be able to not only easily find our website, but easily find our YouTube channel, easily subscribe to our email list, find our pack, our various posts that we're making, and they can do that through one link here. Wow, I can do YouTube, I can do whatever I want, all through one link. Now, the downside to this is that it does involve more clicks. So that means for someone to watch their podcast episode, CCUCSTC, not only do I have to click once and then bam, I'm listening to the podcast episode, but I actually have to click the link tree and then click the podcast episode. It doesn't seem like much, But sometimes just having an extra step in there can discourage people because they get to that link tree and all of a sudden they're like, too much, too many options, don't know what happened, no thank you. But on the other hand, it saves you clicks when it comes to other things such as your website or maybe email us or specific pages on your website. So now rather than figuring out what your church name is and trying to Google that and figure out exactly where you are, who you are, finding your website, and then finding when your service times are or how I can connect, I just click the link right in your bio and I'm right there. Or instead of DMing you, and sometimes people feel self-conscious about that, I can just click the link and I'm right there. It's an idea. You and they don't have to do it, but it's just something that has worked well for us, and it's worth making you know that it's an option. It's out there if you choose to do it now or in the future. So before we go, I actually have a note from Haley who wants to share a little bit about how social media has been useful for them in this 2020 season. But before we get to that, I want to make sure you know about 2 things we have available for you right now. The first one is our Advent and Christmas social media image pack. At the point of you watching this, there might even just be a Christmas pack for sale as well. But for now, the Advent and Christmas pack is over 50 images for Facebook and over 50 images for Instagram for your church. Done for you. They actually go with the lectionary if that's something you use, copyright free. There's question posts, there's Christmas posts, there's Advent posts, Blue Christmas, and of course posts that go with the first lesson, second lesson, Psalm, and Gospel each week during Advent. If that's something you're interested in, click the link in our bio. We figured we'd mention it because we're talking about posts on Instagram, and if you feel like you don't have time or energy or know how to do that, to make those posts every single week or every single day, even if you're trying to be really consistent, we will give you a leg up, done for you posts in the description box. Another free offering we have, which I will also link below, is a guide of the 7 posts that your church should be making online today. So if you're watching this and you're like, wow, I could do an Instagram account, or you're watching this and you're like, wow, that's a lot and I need help, we help get you started with our guide. There's 7 different types of posts you can make, why they're important, and between those examples, all for free, and Haley's examples, graciously also for free, you will be off posting in no time. Okay, we made you wait long enough. Again, this is Haley, Communication Resource Specialist at Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois, who says that during 2020, it's been so difficult for our church community, from not being able to safely worship together to others being negatively affected by COVID by losing family members or jobs. Our social media presence has been a way to bring our community ways to engage with the church and be involved while at home. We want no one to feel alone in this time. Our social media goal is to increase our love for God and neighbor by continuing engagement and outreach virtually. It's also a great way to feature less of what we can't do, love this, and more of what we are doing, from virtual Bible studies to food donation drives. We can still be the church, even from home. Again, thank you, Haley, Hutchinson, Nikolajczyk. I hope I said that right for you. And thank you, Congregational United Church of Christ in St. Charles, Illinois, for not only letting us feature you, but for reaching out online, for being church online, and encouraging others to be church online too. That's it for today, friends. If this video was helpful for you, please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really liked this specific video, please comment below that we should do more of these, because I really don't know if we'll ever do this again if we don't hear that it was actually useful. And that's why we're here, because we want to be useful, helping you reach people with the love of Jesus online. We brought the knowledge today, and now it is your turn to put it into action. Peace.